He said, do not walk as the Gentiles walk, in the futility of their mind. He said, these ones, they have their understanding darkened, and so they can no longer participate in the commonwealth of Israel. He said, but you have not so learned Christ. So a man who has learned Christ will not have his understanding darkened. The man who has his understanding darkened have not learned Christ. He has not experienced Christ. But he who has experienced Christ, something happens to him. In verse 24, he said he is renewed in the spirit of his mind to walk in righteousness and true holiness. So he begins to handle the oracles of God. He begins to move in the dimensions of God. Spiritual knowledge. Anything that helps you acquire spiritual knowledge, stay there. Prayer is one of them. I've spoken about it. Study and meditation of the word is one of them. Worship is one of them. Anything that opens you to God, stay there. If you want to manifest your divine possibilities, you must know God by experience. And all of us have different gates. There are those who, the moment they start praying, the Holy Ghost starts teaching them. So when they want to learn God, they lock themselves, pray, and they carry their notes and sit down. And God begins to teach them from within. There are many, if they want to learn the ways of God, they go to a solitary place. They can carry Isaiah and read it in 3 days. And they are reading and praying in tongues. As they are sleeping, God will show up and begin to teach them what was written. And they come out a new version of themselves. There are those who, for them to know God, they must be alone in the place of worship. As the sound is traveling, their spirits it becomes like a mist, and it ascends with the sound into the corridors of God, and their spirit begins to touch God so experientially they can sense the ambience of the spiritual environment they have gone to. You will see them worshiping and their bodies begin to burn. You will see them worshiping, visions open. You will see them worshiping, direction, instruction, rebuke, all begins to come. So for them, worship is not a good song they enjoy. Worship is a means of traveling. If you find a corridor that brings you divine knowledge, sit there. Like Abraham, the Bible said at the heat of the day, he sat at the gate of Mamre. He sat there. It was in sitting at the gate that Abraham has visions. And on one occasion, in Genesis 18 verse 1, as he sat there, he said he saw 3 men passing. He knew at this time, men don't pass. They disguise themselves as men. He knew that only God uses this way at this time. And he stood up. He said, sir, please come in. He said, no, we are in a hurry. He said, sir, even if it's to wash your feet, come and wash. They came in. He said, quickly, prepare something for them to eat. And immediately God began to speak. Where is your wife, Sarah? How can you see a stranger and you say, my Lord? The man knows where he was. And the traffic that happens there is divine. He said, in the next time of life, your wife Sarah will be with child. Sarah laughed. And God said, your wife laughed. And she came out quickly. Who invited you to this conversation? How did you know they were talking about you? He said, no, I didn't laugh. He said, but you laughed. He said, but don't worry. We will work on this laughter and create something out of it. So the child became laughter. And when he was going, he now began to open Abraham to deeper secrets. He said, I've heard the cry of iniquity of Sodom and Gomorrah. He said, I'm going there to destroy it. And Abraham began to dialogue things that only immortals are permitted to do. Well, how can the righteous God destroy both the righteous and the unjust? He said, have mercy on me. Don't be angry with me. What if you find 50 righteous men? So when Abraham comes to tell you how to negotiate for nations, it's not a doctrine, no. It's a place. It's a reality of a realm. It's a protocol in a dimension. What if you find 50 righteous men? He said, if I find 50 righteous men, I will spare the land. Let my Lord not be angry with me. What if you find 45? What if you find 40? What if you find 30? He now stopped at 10. You don't know how men become mighty with God. It is experiential knowledge. Things that cannot be taught, but they can only be known when you are sent into the realms of God. That's how you harness your